Unreal. Brussels got snubbed, missing important calls in the middle of Russia-Ukraine tension phase. Brussels was sidelined last night in discussions about escalating tensions in Eastern Europe after not being invited to join a phone call on Russian aggression. Late yesterday evening, the leaders of the UK, United States, Germany, Italy and France held virtual talks to discuss fears Russia is preparing to invade Ukraine. They pledged to present a united front on aggression by Vladimir Putin. The discussions came ahead of a planned video call between US President Joe Biden and President Putin today. Moscow has massed tens of thousands of troops on the Ukraine border, leading to fears it is preparing for a full invasion. In 2014, Russia annexed Crimea from Ukraine but stopped short of taking control of the rest of the country. The military preparations have sparked concern from the EU, who fear the consequences of conflict in a country that borders member states. The European Commission has defended Ukraine's territorial integrity and sovereignty in the face of aggression from Russia. Washington has shared intelligence information with NATO members and the EU to ensure all allies are informed of Mr. Putin's suspected plans. However, despite the US working with the EU, last night it was not invited to join world leaders in the video call. President Biden instead assembled the NATO Quint group to discuss the situation. The Quint is an informal decision-making group comprised of the most important NATO members. Following the talks, the White House said, the leaders discussed their shared concern about the Russian military buildup on Ukraine's borders and Russia's increasingly harsh rhetoric. They called on Russia to de-escalate tensions. Pledging to keep Brussels informed of their discussions, a readout added, they agreed that their teams will stay in close touch, including in consultation with NATO allies and EU partners, on a coordinated and comprehensive approach. A Downing Street spokesman said Prime Minister Boris Johnson would continue to use all the economic and diplomatic tools at its disposal to prevent any Russian aggression against Ukraine. President Biden and President Putin are due to speak at 3 p.m. GMT today. The US is thought to have identified a set of economic penalties to impose should Russia launch an invasion. Sanctions against Russia's biggest banks and the ability to convert rubles into dollars and other currencies are also being considered. Moscow denied it is planning an invasion of Ukraine. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov has accused NATO of creeping expansion towards its borders, forcing Russia to build up its military presence. On a more detailed report, the head of the EU Commission threatened Moscow on Tuesday with new sanctions if Russian forces attack Ukraine. Speaking via video link at the annual conference of EU ambassadors, Ursula von der Leyen reiterated the bloc's full and unwavering support for Ukraine facing a massive Russian military build-up along its border. The EU should defend democracies against Russia's cynical geopolitical power play, said von der Leyen, warning that the bloc would respond appropriately to any further aggressions, including breaches of international law or any other malicious actions, taken against us or our neighbors, including Ukraine. She underlined that the EU would respond with a robust scaling up and expansion of existing sanctions regimes and additional restrictive measures in coordination with international partners. Stressing that Brussels would rather engage in constructive dialogue with Moscow, von der Leyen said this was not possible due to Russia's deliberate choices and aggressive actions that continue to destabilize security in Europe. Following a meeting of NATO foreign ministers in Riga last week, NATO Secretary-General Jens Stoltenberg also promised a high price and have serious political and economic consequences for Russia if it uses aggression against Ukraine. In 2014, Moscow began to support separatist forces in eastern Ukraine against the central government, a policy that it has maintained in the past 7 years. The EU has been applying restrictive measures in response to the Ukrainian crisis since 2014. Currently, 185 people and 48 entities are on the bloc's blacklist for violating Ukraine's territorial integrity and sovereignty. Separate economic sanctions on the Russian finance, energy, and defense sectors are also in place, with the bloc saying Moscow has been reluctant in fully implementing the Minsk agreements meant to establish peace in eastern Ukraine.